Hi everyone, welcome to a video. Obviously, this video is not gaming in any way. I think that would be pretty easy to understand. Alright, so today, we're going to be talking about attacks on websites and could be attacks on anything. We're going to talk about how people in the computer world show that they're angry at you. Obviously, I'm joking about that, but I should say before this starts that there is a warning here, and this warning is that I'm going to demonstrate some stuff in the video, right? And I'm going to demonstrate it legally. This is for educational purposes. I would say that you do not do it yourself unless you understand what you're doing and you understand the full legal charges that could come about if you do it incorrectly and do something to someone else. I will warn you as I go through some of these things, but we're going to be talking about DDoSing, DOSing, and DOXing today. And so let's talk about it. And we're going to really get visual as we go through some of this stuff. Alright, so let's get started with this whole thing. Okay, so first, to understand what a DOS or DDoS attack is, I'm going to do a couple of things to help you visualize, right? Okay, I am on the right scene. So to begin, I have like little, just like little things up here to help me out here. But I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna type in, I don't know, Mozilla.org. Alright, so what just happened? I'm gonna go really, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened. Usually when I type in a URL like Google, it just pings and goes from there, right? But let's talk about this. So when, and honestly, that's what happened here, but there's more of an extent because of this directory, right? Because we got redirected here. Alright, so what happens when I talk to a generic internet, like, how about this, example.com? Okay, so basically, what's happening here, this is HTML code, right? Watch, if I go here, and don't worry, you can see basic HTML code here, right? All this dark reader stuff is from my dark reader, but here's what it looks like usually, but I like dark reader, so yeah. Basically though, you can see everything, right? Just like that. So, how do we get this HTML though? Your computer sends a packet, which requests the information. Your computer sends a packet to your router, whatever you want to say. And then from there, the router sends it out into the internet, and it bounces around until it finds what it needs, and then it bounces back, right? Okay, so as I was editing this, I noticed an error in what I was saying. I said that it may not bounce the signal. I'm going to insert it right there, pretty much, this clip. But the signal does bounce, inevitably, at least once, because we have to convert the domain name that you put in, which is google.com, example.com, and we turn that into an IP address. We do that through a service called DNS, Domain Name Service. And so it's basically like the phone book, you know, so it's what we think of. But through DNS, through the DNS, the domain name system, what we can do is there are servers called name servers. Those are usually hosted by the registrar, even if you're hosted with someone who isn't the domain registrar. Because what happens is the connection goes to the domain, and the first place that goes is it finds the domain and it pings the registrar, and the registrar sends back an IP address, and then from there that packet is then redirected to the final server. And so that's why I could change my host easily, and it will update. DNS updates take about 24 to 48 hours to populate across the entire world, and that's just because everyone kind of has to, you know, the robots, you ever heard of robots.txt and stuff, they have to come back, right? The automated systems, and kind of re-ping and change that, as well as just in general the system has to update it, and everything just has to kind of clean and change. It takes time just because of the nature of how big the internet is. But yeah, basically, signal comes from your computer, router, goes up, or wherever, to the domain name registrar. I'm going to call that the name server, and then it pings down to the server. Server then sends it back, right? And it will bypass that domain name registrar there. That is a good thing to know. Nevertheless, it gets there, it comes back pretty quick. We can trace that time, and I'll show you that in a sec. When I send that ping, example.com, in that packet there's some information, right? And example.com can send back this HTML, and then the HTML from there is all run in the browser, right? So anything that is server-side, Pascal, PHP, Ruby, all gets converted into HTML and then gets sent, right? That's important to understand, right? Because I'm not running PHP on my machine. That's running on the server. So from there then, right, example, this is all returned and the browser assembles it, right? The browser can send different requests though, like Mozilla did here. If I go to mozilla.org, it sends me to ENUS, right? So basically when I connect to Mozilla, actually what happens is I ping Mozilla and it sends back HTML, and inside of that HTML, there is a command, right? It's called a meta. It's called the meta tag. And inside of that meta tag, right, it's, it's actually not, in this case, a meta tag, but this is the easiest way to understand it. It tells me to redirect to ENUS. What really happens is for any of you guys who understand this, there's a PHP header call depending on where they locate the IP to be. So, if I were to be in Spain, I would be yes, yes. And now it's in Spanish. And then if I were it's FR for France. So, from there then, right, what we do is we send another packet from our machine back up there, and they send back all of the web page, including the JavaScript, HTML, CSS. It's a pretty good circuit. However, as you'll see in a couple minutes, this can be abused. Let's talk about something. I'm going to open up PowerShell. You can do this in normal CMD too. You'll see that in a minute when I talk about batch scripts, but for now, we're just going to use PowerShell here, right? There's a command called ping, and I'm sure you've heard of it. And we're going to talk about a couple of arguments in a second. It's T and L, okay? So to begin, all the commands that could be harmful to any other server, I'm going to be typing ping 127.0.0.1. These will intend no harm onto my machine because it's just sending and receiving a packet for itself, right? So it just makes no difference. And there's nothing. Well, there is stuff set up to serve here, but it's actually not like on right now. I don't have any web servers turned on right now. So but there can be other ports. You know what? Whatever. All right. It's not gonna hurt my machine. It wouldn't hurt yours if you did it too. All right. But what you'll see is that it's less than 1 millisecond. All that means, right, is that really it had to go nowhere, right? But say I ping mozilla.org, you can actually retrieve the IP, and you see this is about the time, right? So this basic ping, right? I can do that. But what if I do ping 127.0.0.1? Now this is one of those things that could be abused, and I'll show you really how it can be abused in a second. But if I do -t, will go. This is, again, very harmful if you're giving it to another server, and I'll show you. It's not super harmful, actually, I should say. It can be harmful. It can cause harm, but you'll see it's running for more than 4. I can terminate that with Control-C, right? Like that. Now, what if I did this, -t, and then I added a -l? Now, there's something that is called the ping of death, right? And I'm just going to pull up a web page for you here. And so the ping of death is a denial of service attack, right? This is the main way that they do DOS. And it's caused by an attacker deliberately sending an IP packet larger than this allowed by the IP protocol. Also, it could be, 65500, right? So that's what we'll do, 65500, right? So 65,536 is actually the limit for IPv4, which of course, since we have 4 numbers between the dots, that it means it's IPv4. So you can see I'm sending a lot of data to this server. It's gonna go forever to this quote-unquote server. I'm actually sending it myself. This is when it can get very harmful, and it can be illegal, right? So, what's going to happen here is every time it's got to receive and process this much data. That's not really great for this, right? So, what you could then do, theoretically, is, if you're not familiar with the term script kiddie, basically script kiddies are types of hackers, technically, I guess, who, I don't want to call them hackers, they just download scripts, and they configure them and run them, right? They don't actually write their own stuff. And that's basically all I know about hacking, besides all the other types of hackers and kind of how security works. But, you know, kind of. I don't have a full understanding of that yet. We're learning more every time, right? Here we go. So now, here's the other thing that you should understand, is that a batch file is very useful to these script kiddies, right? Because batch is easy to write in. So, say I made this, like, I don't know, DOS .bat, and that's fine, right? So now it's a system file, pretty much. And in fact, there is a file, or there used to be, I don't know if it still exists, autoexe.bat, and that's what would start up your system back in the day. But now, if you type out echo off. So, as I was saying earlier, I'm sorry, basically what we can do inside of this DOS.bat file is we can write ping, the same command, you know, so 7001-T-L65500. You know, there are ways that you can make it so that it repeats forever if something were to fail, but for now I'm not going to do that. For now, I'm just going to do that. And you can see, this is bad, okay? But of course, the server can easily block this, right? It's easy for them to just say, oh, it's one IP sending all the data, it's just some weirdo trying to DOS us. Let's get rid of it. Block them for 24 hours and they learn. But if we did that, except we put it on a ton of different internet connections, internet lines, I'm not talking about one machine connected to the internet, I'm talking about lines, like different routers. If we did that, do you know what happens? I'll tell you what happens. Then, multiple different IPs from around the world are connecting to one source. This is DDoS. And some of the ways, this is when Trojans start to get as part of this. So, if you're infected with a Trojan, one of the many things that the Trojan creator can do is sell rights to the botnet. So you can use the botnet, right? And this is pretty unfortunate because then they can just plug it into low orbit ion cannon, LOIC, and go ahead and, you know, just do that, right? Again, do not do any of what I just demonstrated, right? In fact, I'm deleting the batch file right now. Okay. Even more so than these little script kiddies will just buy it up, throw it in the software, and it'll just go from there, right? It's much worse, you know. Code Red managed to knock out, or they almost managed to knock out White House. White House saw it coming, whitehouse.gov, switched their IP address real quick, and it was good. So anyways, that's DDoS. DOS, except over multiple different connections to the internet. So then what does it mean to DOX? And to DOX is just to search for and publish private or identifying information about a particular individual on the internet, typically with malicious intent. And they'll do it to both public and private figures. So, you know, if some information gets leaked about, I don't know, say, I think this happened before Jake Paul, his address gets leaked. From there, we can talk about, you know, then we can get more information and dox him if we don't like him. Now, obviously, you don't do that. That is called illegal. You don't do that, okay? No doing that, okay? Then it brings into the point where, well, if I know their address from someone who doxed, I could call the SWAT team on them, which actually has happened. And so I want to talk about swatting a little bit. Illegal. I didn't actually want to talk about it very much. I just want to hit on it. But, you know, it's very illegal. Should be careful, alright? In fact, even saying that, Susan Wojcicki? I'm just going to say Wojcicki. She's got a button on her table, man. It's probably like bigger than the nuclear button on her desk. She just smacks it and my channel just gets eradicated. Alright, so I gotta be careful, man. Right? Alright, quick review. DOS. One computer. I'm firing my laser right over onto that, you know, all those, and yeah, whatever, you know. It's just firing one stream of very, very, very harsh data, right? It's hard to read fast, but we can block them. Can we block a DDoS attack? Nope. So they're bad, but they're much more rare. If someone threatens that they're going to DDoS you, they're not going to do it, right? And then there's doxing. Just be careful about that. Don't let information get leaked. Alright? Basically, just be safe on the internet. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoyed, click like. If you didn't, then maybe just comment down below what was wrong. You know, what you thought could be better. I want to improve as much as I can. Or you can click dislike, but it doesn't exist. I never dislike anything. Obviously, I'm kidding. But I reserve the dislike button for Morgs and Jake Paul and Logan Paul. That's what the dislike button is for on this platform, okay? Yes. All right? Like, subscribe, bell, notified. Oh, that was great. Like, subscribe, bell, notified, and that means that you gotta click the bell and turn on all notifications, because on iOS they've been scamming and only sending some. I hear you, Susan. Stop scamming. Susan, you're over. I know you're over there, Susan. I know you're over in California. Stop scamming me. All right, but thank you for watching this video. Let me know what you want to see, because I want this to be community based. And I'll see you guys later. Peace on out. Bye-bye.